Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of Conversation Starters. And today we have our very own first guest on the show. You're the first guest, Matt.
I feel privileged.
Yeah, so Matt is, well, go on, I'll let you introduce yourself. What do you do and what's your online presence, I suppose?
Absolutely. Well, I am known as MashUp Matt on YouTube. Me and James have collaborated a little bit in the past. I think our main FIFA videos, especially back in the day, and we used to do quite a bit of streaming, I remember. God, you remember those Sunday evenings?
Yes.
They were fun, weren't they?
They were the best. I
used to like them. But, so my name is Matthew, as James already said. I have an online personality called MashUp Matt, which I don't do an awful lot anymore, but that's because I've got a new job lined up. But to be honest, I can't wait to hear what question James has got, because I listened to the first podcast and I can't wait for this.
Yeah, so you just don't know where it's going to go, do you? That's the whole point. That's why I like it, because I know. Now I do, but I didn't know half an hour ago. So It is very good. It's intriguing. So, yes. But, so that's Matt. Welcome to the podcast. And you're the first guest, so feel honoured. You beat Jamie.
I do feel honoured. So if this goes big, I'll be one of the pioneers of it now.
Yes.
We kicked it off with this.
Exactly. Okay. Like I said, you beat Jamie, so...
Oh, well, I beat him at a lot of things.
Yes.
So
yeah. Okay, so like we did with the first one, let's just delve straight into it. I've chose 5 to 6 questions. We'll just depend on time, we'll get through all of them, or if we do, then great. If not, then don't worry. But we'll just push through and just see how far we get through. So
okay.
Yeah. So the first question, I'll just read it out, and then we just go off and just let the conversation roll. If we decide to go off, then that's fine.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the first question is, have you ever been to the emergency room? And if so, what for? So it could be an embarrassing injury you might have had or anything.
Ooh, right. I've only been once, and I was in uni at the time, if I remember rightly, and when you're in uni, you try different things, and I thought I'd never played football before in my life, even though I'd followed it for a few years beforehand. And I remember I was late for training. Not that I was ever involved with the team. I just went there to keep fit. And I remember running into the car park, and I tried to jump over a chain link fence. And my left foot caught the fence.
Oh, God.
I fell forward. I put my right hand down to stop myself, and all my weight went over it.
Oh, no.
So I fractured. You could say a fracture. It's one of those hairline fractures that when you look at it in an x-ray, you go, I can't see it, you know? So anyway, I didn't feel anything when it first happened. You get the shock of it and so on and so forth. But the kicker was I went round the corner then to find out the training wasn't even on.
Oh, no. My God.
So I ran all that way and fractured my wrist for nothing. But anyway, so day after, started to swell up, went to the emergency room. And well, it wasn't so much the emergency room. I went to the doctors first, and then he went, go to the hospital and get this sorted. So so it was 6 weeks in a cast, running to a training session which wasn't even on.
And was that how old was you then?
That was 2012. So I think it was the second year of uni. So it was about seven years
recent,
ago.
Yeah.
So it was pretty recent.
God.
Yeah. So, and you know that thing when you take your cast off and your hand just looks like a shriveled model of what it was before.
Yeah.
And you're trying to sort of teach it how to move again. Oh, that was such a horrible feeling.
Difficult.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, God. Mine, I have once, same as you, once, but I was very, very young. I can't even remember it. I was actually more or less a baby, really.
Yeah.
But I was in hospital because I had pneumonia as a child. So I was, I would say touch and go, really. I mean, I think I obviously survived. But
well, obviously. Otherwise, this is one of the weirdest seances I've ever been to. If they can do it via the internet nowadays.
Yeah. I'm underground, really. That's where I live. But no, that was me. Yeah, I was a young baby, really. And I had pneumonia. I remember my mum and dad saying, I was touch and go. So, that was me. But I have had, I've never broken a bone in my body, ever.
Well, you're a lucky man then.
Not a sprain, not a fracture, Nothing at all. Never broken anything. So it's a fun fact about me, actually, if anyone's interested.
Unbelievable. You've heard of these people who've got brittle bone syndrome or brittle bone, isn't it? They call it, or something like that, where just the slightest touch. I can't imagine how hard that must be to live with.
Oh God!
Even just the slightest touch on something, and so we can count ourselves lucky. It
put me into panic, making sure I can't, don't touch anything, or even going on a roller coaster. Like, what if it jars you too much, and if you have, you could do your arm in or something, just for something like everyday activities. So yeah, like you said, it would really do my head in as well.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's the first question. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question we have is: do you prefer to travel, or are you like a home bird? Do you prefer to stay close at home? What's the general gist of what you like to do? If you had to choose one of them, what would you do and why?
Right. I would probably say, if someone else was listening to this, would be going, Matt, you're lying. You do this all the time. But I would probably say I would travel, but there's a catch. I'd like to have sort of home comforts with me, if you know what I mean.
I'm with you.
When you go, if I went on holiday abroad or something, there would always be something from home or whatever that I would think, if that was with me, I would probably be enjoying this a little bit more.
Yeah.
And seeing as how I'm obviously a gamer, this is going to sound really cliche, but just if I had some electronic device like a console with me, I would travel everywhere. I would go and see every cultural thing, take in whatever. But at the end of the day, once I've done everything or that, I just want to chill back in a room, stick my PlayStation on and play.
Very similar to what you do at home. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I do like to move around, hence I'm now moving away again now for my new job next week.
Okay.
But I am going to be taking a lot of my stuff with me. Know that it's that sort of thing. I don't mind going to other places, but I've got to have something that makes me feel at home, even though I'm not at home.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of gist. If someone said, oh, you're going to go on a cruise for 6 weeks, I probably wouldn't do it because I'm just be stuck in a cabin for 6 weeks, not doing anything. So it would have to be that kind of thing. So it sounds like a bit of a cop-out, but...
No, I think it's
that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's a valid point, really. I mean, I am more or less the same in terms of I like to go out and experience things, more so for the vlogs, because whenever I travel, I always film. So obviously I'm always trying to make a good video and stuff, but I always take my stuff with me, whether or not it's iPad or something just to be able to watch a film and catch up on my YouTube, etc. And if I was going away somewhere I suppose if I was going somewhere away where I knew I could have a TV and it would be a lot of downtime, I'd definitely take a console with me or something. So I suppose we kind of marry up there the same. We are very similar in that sense. But
yeah, because it was funny, just before we move on, I remember when me and Jay went to EGX, it was always one of us took one of our consoles with us to the hotel room because we knew we may have had a whole day playing, whatever demos and stuff there was there and walking around, but we knew when we came back then we could just chill out and, just do something that we knew we could play. It's the same if you have music, I suppose, everyone's got iPods and, and different types of MP3 players and stuff these days. But if you haven't got that with you and you're just sitting in a hotel room, it doesn't feel very, relaxing, does it? But so that's the kind of thing we tend to do.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% exactly same. But a majority of the time, like I said, when I am traveling, I have to edit my videos or whatever. So I always have my laptop with me or something so I always have my stuff around me. But I exactly same. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so question 3 is what was your least favorite subject at school and why? What did you struggle with?
Right. How long have you got? I was I was quite academically strong, especially in my early years, and then sort of through sixth form, due to reasons outside of my control, I started to struggle a little bit. But I wouldn't say there was anything I was particularly poor at, but it's just, it's a lot of people have said this as well, but obviously maths was something that especially when it got to sort of year 11 and beyond, because you started doing sort of, different sort of equations and stuff like that. And, And loads of people just struggle to get their head around numbers, let alone put in flipping letters to these equations and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, I would suspect that a lot of people have that kind of same experience. That was probably the one I struggled with the most, but I wouldn't say that it was a struggle in terms of that I didn't know, you know, how to do maths or what to do, you know. It was just that certain things, some people couldn't get hypotenuse theory, yet I was that was the one bit of maths I absolutely enjoyed, which is really, really strange. So if you told me, you know, not now, obviously, but if there's an angle in a triangle I need to find, I could probably find it. But if you try to tell me that h squared times x cubed over m, you know, to the fraction of whatever, I wouldn't even bother. I would say, nah, you're talking to the wrong person. Absolutely. So that was probably my weakest subject.
Okay. Yeah, maths is probably a popular choice by people, but I was quite good at maths, and I feel like I was like, you know, foundation level, you know, but I was high foundation, so I felt good.
Yeah.
So
so
I was like, I'm not going to push the boat. I'm going to stay at high foundation.
Up in your own podcast, brilliant. Yeah,
I'm going to stay at high foundation. If I go to higher tier, then I'm definitely lower, you know.
Yes.
So I'm going to stay high foundation rather than low higher. So but for me, I think definitely I'd have to choose science. I kind of going with the wrong crowd in science though as well. You know, in terms of just messing around, and I actually got dropped down a few sets because of it. but I think science would be mine. The teacher didn't help either. Sorry if you're listening, but the teacher didn't help, and I eventually dropped down dropped down a class or two, and I had to really work then. But at the same time, I was not gloating, but I was always going to be guaranteed a C. You know, because I could get a C. But that's all I needed in school was just get the C's, get me through and move on. C's, especially the ones
we don't care. Just move on.
Especially the ones that you don't really care about and you've got to really work hard for, I suppose, and like really actually put a bit of an effort in. But science, that was just lost from day one. So,
was there any specific parts of science? Or was it like, you know, say I don't know, you know, many in our education system, like year 8 to about year 11 or something, or was it biology, chemistry, or
Don't get me wrong. It was the biology and the physics where I could see the point of them. I could definitely see biology, obviously, like doctors and, you know, learn about the body, etc., and how things work. And then the physics side of it is like basically how the world works, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But the chemistry side, that lost me. It was like, why am I like blending, merging two chemicals together? Like, I'm never going to do this. I need to understand like how the heart, what the heart is and how the lungs are. You know, I get that, but I just never could get my head around chemistry. And like I said, the teacher didn't help. He wasn't very interested. But that was me. Science, definitely science.
Yeah,
I struggled with science, and also art as well. Art was another one that was hard, but science would take the number one, definite.
We could have a drawing competition at the end of this to see which one of us is even worse at that. You know, I didn't mention that because I dropped it after like year 8. So.
Yeah. Fair enough. Right, next question. Let's get on to the next one. This one could be just like a one answer question, I suppose. But
okay.
We'll see how it goes. So basically, how many email addresses do you have? Because I picked this one up because I've got a really intriguing answer. So if
okay. Well, what? Right now, or I have had?
Yeah. So how many email addresses do you have active? I suppose that you're using day to day.
Only 2 right now, because obviously I set one up as a personal one, and I had one set up for my YouTube channel as well. So, and I don't know whether you do it as well, whether you just use your YouTube one as a sort of the spam one. So like everything that you don't really want to read just ends up in your one, like your Gmail account for your YouTube channel, and the other one then is your personal one, and everything you need just goes into there.
Yeah.
It's like when you I don't know, it's like when you sign up to sort of certain websites or whatever, like Reddit or something like that. I don't have my own personal email address as a login for Reddit. It is my YouTube one. Because even though I'm not on Reddit an awful lot all the time, even though you get notifications and stuff, I don't tend to read them. I just go in and try and find what I'm looking for. Yeah. So all the rubbish goes into that one, and then my personal one is obviously just for everything else I really need in my life. Yeah. I don't think I've looked at my YouTube one for a good 3 months. It's probably full of rubbish right about now.
Yeah, my YouTube one is spam due to my own fault, really. Like the notifications, like the notifications on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then all my comments come through there and stuff. And And I do use it to communicate with people, like, because people do email. That's why people do email me about like those phones I do review. So that like it. So some things do filter through there, and I have had like random companies send me codes for just crap, which I've ignored, like free trial of this game or something like that. You know, just literally spamming crap. But yeah, so my YouTube one. But I have a lot of email addresses. So I have a main email address, but I also have like 3 or 4 old email addresses which auto forward their emails to my main email address. So I have like one old one which will auto forward any messages I go there, just in case anything's important there. But I am quite active with the unsubscribe, you know, so I do unsubscribe a lot from things that I'm like, you know, I'm on or whatever. Like Groupon, I was on Groupon notifications for like three of my email addresses, so I'd have the same email address 3 times. So I did have a bit of a sort out. So yeah, I've got like my YouTube one, I've got my main one, I've got those 3 then that filter from it. And I've also got my works one, I suppose, like for my day job.
Yeah.
So
you got like 3 pop-up emails then, really? Because it's just like throwing pop-ups at you every time. It's like, do you remember that this message comes through us? Well, I've got to send it to this one now for you, so you need to actually see it.
Yeah. So it's all over the place. Like, but the hardest thing I find is with the email addresses is because your email address is sometimes often your username to log into things, and like my Facebook is like one of those ones that auto forwards the messages. So my Facebook email address isn't my main email address. It's one of the ones that auto forward. I've been so lazy to just like go into all my accounts and update my email addresses to like the main email address, because it's like, to me, it all goes there anyway because it's all auto forwarded. But then when I'm trying to log into things, I find that quite difficult, because sometimes like, well, what email address is this now? It could be one of 4.
Exactly. Have you ever had that thing where you you log into a website, I don't know, for example, any sort of thing that sends you updates, and you log into it after a long, long time, and you suddenly find that it's still got an email address that you are now not using?
Yes, yeah.
And then you suddenly think, oh my God, how many messages or emails have they sent me which haven't got through because it's now not the right email address and all that?
Probably for me, 9 times out of 10, it's one of the ones that's auto-forwarding, so... I'm that lazy. Like, I am so lazy with my emails, and I do need to get better with them, especially my YouTube ones, because, like I said, that's just spam. I mean, at the moment, I think that's on like something like 400 and something. Yeah, because I just haven't. Like, I'm read ones, obviously, but yeah, I have a lot of emails.
I have. Sorry, James.
Sorry.
I have a thing where I can't let any unread emails go over 500.
Oh.
I just always think that, oh my, where's the limit? Because it used to be when you went into some emails. I think Gmail do it now, where they give you like, how much memory space you've got left.
Oh yeah, they do.
But it's always like 0.5%, and yet every time my unread ones get to around about 300, I'm going, Christ, I'm going to run out of room in a minute.
You can.
It's just one of those things where you just can't help but think, oh my God, I got to read them all now, otherwise I'll lose them because I'll start deleting them off me, you know?
I know exactly what you mean, yeah. Mad. Right, okay. 2 questions left. I think we'll go for the whole 6 today because we've got a bit of time, and we seem to be pushing through. That's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so what are some things that you shouldn't say at a funeral? So what are some certain phrases, or what would you deem to be unacceptable to say at a funeral?
Word. Obviously the first one is, I'm happy to be here.
I feel so alive.
No.
This party is so alive.
The one thing, the one, event that no one ever wants to go to. And, some people just say, out of, they don't think, they say, I'm happy to be here for you is what they mean.
Yeah.
But, sometimes you say, I'm happy to be here. It's like, not really.
I don't want to be
none
here.
of us want to be here because it's not something anyone wants to go through.
Such a difficult thing, isn't it? It's like walking into the wake and being like, oh, it's a bit dead in here, isn't it? It's a bit dead in this pub. Like, what's going on?
Is it? Any people not from Wales, you're probably going to hear some terms in the next few minutes where me and James are going to say stuff and you go, what the hell are those two on about? It's just our just mannerisms.
Who's caught that jacket? Hanging on the floor.
Yes.
Sorry, people are probably thinking we're talking gibberish now, but that's a funny thing back at where we live. But
it's all right. There's funny things all over Britain, so it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
What else? Because to be honest, I've not been to many funerals in my life, but I try and say as very little as possible, just out of fear of perhaps either not insulting someone, but just sounding insensitive.
Yeah, it's difficult, especially when you approach family of whoever's funeral it is you're there. So I always find it, because when you're walking out of the ceremony, they always wait at the end, do you mean? And they shake hands or hug people and stuff, and you pass your condolences off. And I always find that difficult what to say, because it's I could say something good that's really inappropriate, so I gotta really watch what I say. But then I panic. Then I'm the type of person that panics about I gotta watch what I say, and I freak out. So it's sorry for your loss, and But
that's all you could say, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's difficult. Like I said,
So I don't know. It's a very difficult thing to think about, because people mean, when they say things, they mean it with such good intent, but sometimes it just comes off the wrong way.
Yeah, no, 100%.
You could try and be as sincere as possible and as sensitive and respectful as you can, but don't forget that in that sort of situation, emotions are running high. You could say something that's completely innocent, but someone who's struggling to come to terms with whatever may not see it that way. So it's a very difficult thing to comprehend, really, when you're in that sort of position.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, moving on. This one, I feel like they chose this one because Matt, you're into this type of thing. So right. I feel like we could have a proper big conversation about this. So if you're into this, then stay tuned.
Right.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, God alive.
We can kind of change that if you want. If you could be one superhero, who would you be? If you want,
one superhero. Well, if anyone watches my YouTube channel, you know which two superheroes are my favourites.
Yep.
It's different. I wouldn't want to, but I'd want to be a superhero that people could obviously relate to. So obviously that's where my love of Spider-Man comes from.
Yeah.
To be a superhero, people say, "Oh, I'd love to fly or be invincible or whatever." I just think that's a little bit too grandiose. That's just sort of my small mentality on the thing. I just do my bit. Get out of there. Because when you look at some superheroes, when you think of, especially in DC, like Superman and the Flash, a bit of an apt thing, seeing as they are flashy, they're held up as idols and they're, worshipped or whatever.
Yeah.
But actually, the whole scenario of sort of Spider-Man not being a hero that's, people like him, but there's always situations when, I know every superhero gets in this situation where they come across something where it turns the public against them. Spider-Man's always been one way most of the public's kind of against him, because he's in that sort of situation where, look at the X-Men. They are supposedly hated, yet they have a lot of the same powers as a lot of the other revered superheroes in the Marvel Universe. But that sort of gives them a little bit more charm, because they're not only fighting bad guys, they're trying to fight public image as well.
Yeah.
So perhaps the small time ones, so Spider-Man's my favourite. Spider-Man is my absolute favourite.
Yeah, I have to agree.
Of all time. But that's probably because in the 90s when the cartoon was on, that's all I ever watched every time I came home.
Oh, The Amazing Spider-Man from 1994.
Yes.
I've got it. I've got it on my iTunes. It's amazing.
I tell you, it's probably the best rendition of animated.
It's the theme song. It's the theme song, isn't it?
The theme song is iconic.
Oh, I love it.
When you think of Spider-Man, you just think, the 90s one. And because it was in that sort of period where, it was sort of cool to have sort of grungy or punk rock type theme tunes, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Everything in the 90s was that sort of edgy rock kind of thing. And I think the only one that didn't have that kind of thing was the Batman animated series, because it stuck to the old film music.
Film audio, yeah.
But no, that 94-95 Spider-Man cartoon was my childhood. Was absolutely my childhood.
Was it on like CITV or something? I remember it being on.
It was on.
I feel like it was on CITV because I remember having it in my bedroom.
It was, and then it went on because when Sky started to sort of do the multi-channel thing, it was on something else. Was it Fox Kids?
Maybe something like that.
Because I used to go over a friend of ours, and he always used to tape the episodes for me, and the only time I managed to get to watch them was when he had them. But I think it was on CITV very early on, and then it was sort of gobbled up then and put on these other channels when Sky started doing this multi-channel thing.
Yeah. That's interesting now, because that is what started my I suppose obsession with Spider-Man. And then I had like the pajamas and the bedding and everything. So Spider-Man, definitely was mine. Definitely, yeah. But I'm also a bit of a sucker for Iron Man as well. I just think he's cool, just to have the money and the suit and just I don't know, whenever you watch the films, I just think he's good. Maybe it's Robert Downey Jr., maybe it's him that is selling the Iron Man to me. Maybe Iron Man in the comics won't be as appealing. I'm not really into comics. I've never really read the comics. I'm really more of visual on the screen, I suppose, like TV shows.
Absolutely.
And stuff. But
did you ever watch the 90s animated series?
Which one's that for? Iron Man?
Iron Man.
No, never did. Because
I remember that I was watching a video on YouTube, and it's something called how the 90s was the original MCU. Because you had the 90s X-Men cartoon.
Yes, I remember that.
The 90s Spider-Man cartoon. The 90s Incredible Hulk. And Iron Man as well.
So it's kind of like what they do now.
They all crossed over. There was a couple of episodes where, especially in the Spider-Man ones, where the X-Men were in for 2 episodes. Then you had the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four had a 90s cartoon series as well. So this was the whole thing they were saying, obviously now in the last 10 years, because of the MCU, it's come to a broader audience. But that was the original animated cinematic universe for Marvel.
Well, that kind of makes sense. Like in the 90s, they did the whole animated crossovers and, everything was going on there and all TV shows. Whereas now they're like films. Well, over $1 billion franchise, obviously now, and they're crossing over and stuff,
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's quite mad. I never knew that. I knew they did X-Men and I knew they did Spider-Man, but I'll have to. I'm definitely going to look up the Iron Man.
Yeah, look
series.
them up. Yeah, look them
definitely.
Up. I don't think it ran for very long. I don't think it was entirely that popular. But when it crossed over with Spider-Man as well. Apart from the Incredible Hulk, they all crossed over, I think, at some point.
Right. I'm just having a look.
But I think this was in the point as well when Marvel was sort of selling all their properties off as well.
Right.
So all these television companies were trying to use these characters in their TV shows because you had Captain America, and Thor and all that weren't really in the picture. They were in the comics, but they weren't on TV.
Yeah. No, I will definitely check that. Yes, I've got 5 series of Spider-Man. I'm just looking now. 13 episodes in the first one, and I've got 13 in 1994. Wow.
Bastard.
The wedding. Peter and MJ's big day arrives.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What? Oh, nostalgia.
I'll just say an episode and see if you remember it. So,
all right.
Okay, here we go. So Peter is framed for a crime he didn't commit, and it's up to the blind lawyer Matt Murdock to prove his innocence. Who is also known as the Man Without Fear. Daredevil.
I can't. It's not the Day of the Chameleon. Oh, I know the one because it was a 2-part. It was a 2-part episode. I can't remember the name of it though.
It was. They're actually 2 different names. So the first one's called Framed, and then the second one's called The Man Without Fear.
Oh, right.
Season 3. But
it was the first episode. Was it the first episode of season 3?
No, it was like the 6th and 7th.
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay. Yes. So there was a 2-parter in episode 2, which was Make-A-Wish and Attack of the Octobot.
Yeah, that's when he visits a little girl and then he gets amnesia because Dr. Octopus wipes his memory and then Madam Web has to try and bring him back around. He actually commits a couple of crimes with Dr. Octopus before she brings him back.
Because it does say Spider-Man loses his memory and becomes partners in crime with Dr. Octopus. Can a little girl and Cabby save him? Well done. No, so I've got them. I'll have to give them to you on a stick or something. But yeah, that's great. Yeah. That's cool. That's great. Okay, so Spider-Man and Iron Man then, I suppose. Well, me Iron Man, you definitely Spider-Man.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. But okay, that's all the questions for today. I want to just say thanks to Matt for joining us on episode 2.
You're welcome.
And also, did you have a good time? Was it fun?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
I did, and I think even though we do this over the internet, it's actually quite good, the fact that we can actually hold a conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's what I like about that's what I like about what I like about this series, you know?
Yeah.
Even if it does just start with, what's your favourite film? Then we can go into whatever we want.
It can spiral out, yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Oh, good. So we'll definitely be up for having you on again sometime in the future, of course. Mm-hmm. And I will put links to Matt's social medias and all of his stuff in the description or in the show notes of this. And also over on Twitter, your Twitter name is at MashUp Matt?
At MashUp Matt, yes.
Yes. There you go. So go and check Matt out, go and check his stuff out, and go and support him and show him some love. So thank you so much for listening to this week's podcast. Stay tuned for next week, where we will have another guest on, and we'll have more conversations. Goodbye.
Bye.